Warning. The following is extremely addictive content. The original Savage Podcast may cause increased levels of success, happiness, and completely transform your life. You've been warned.
Welcome back, everybody. It is time for another episode of the original Savage Podcast. This week is going to be a great one. Go ahead, strap in, get your notebooks ready. I know this is going to be full of insight. I've been waiting to have Shaun on because I know that the perspective is just going to be incredible, and you'll see why in just a minute. So without further ado, Shaun, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hey, what's going on, Josh? Thanks for having me on. I'm Shaun Gray, currently from Clayton, originally from Clayton, North Carolina, raised in the South, but I'm traveling the world now full-time. Started off as a body piercer in Clayton, worked pharmaceuticals for Grifols. I'm sure a company you've heard of, a large pharmaceutical company based out of Spain, all around the world. And then me and my wife just decided we kind of wanted to change it up, travel the world, and see if we could make some YouTube videos, post on Instagram, and just enjoy life. Go home when we got to make money, but just really just get out there to see the world, experience culture and everything there is out here.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly why, I wanted to have you on, is that perspective. The whole thing is perspective for me, and this whole podcast is about perspective and different perspectives, and just having your perspective from an artist standpoint, from a different cultural standpoint of now you're traveling the world and seeing all these different cultures on a daily and weekly basis. And that's why I wanted to have you on. So, I'll just jump right into when I ask everybody is just like, in your opinion and in your experiences, I mean, obviously you transitioned from small town in North Carolina, small town in the South, to now experiencing the world, right? That's a huge transition. So in your opinion, what is that one thing, what is that catalyst for real lasting change or transformation?
I would just say, for me, it'd be a combination of openness and work ethic. Like, if you really want change in anything, whether it's physical, mental, if it's job related, or just, in your leisure activities, is just being open and just working at it. Like, no matter what you want, as long as you put in enough time and you're open to getting better or realizing you're not as good as you really think you are at something, and just putting in the time to work at it. You know what I mean?
I love that is a combination of openness and work ethic, because I think a lot of the times we just think work, head down, nose to the grindstone, down, right? Well, when you do that, right, your head is down. You can't see what else is out there, right? You have to have that openness as well. So I love that you put it as openness and work ethic, because again, if you're just head down, nose to the grindstone, you can't see what's in front of you. You can't see what's outside of that path. You only see the next step you're going to take, so to speak.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. I mean, there's been times in my life where I worked 14 hours a day, 6-7 days a week, and felt like I was getting nowhere. And then there's, I could be sitting in the south of Italy in Tuscany, and all of a sudden we had an 8-second reel go viral, and we're gaining thousands of followers on Instagram and feeling like the most successful you've ever felt in your life. And it's just like, it's just being open and, working at it, and your time comes. You never know when it's going to happen, because when I was working those 14-hour days in the pharmaceutical plant, as many days as they would allow, I was just like, man, am I ever going to make it? Am I ever going to be happy? And then, traveling the world and seeing things and putting in the work, and it's happened.
Yeah, I think that's like the perspective right there. Like, that's the definition of perspective, right? 14-hour days. Am I going to be happy? Am I going to be successful? Oh my gosh. But a lot of people see working in the pharmaceutical industry, working, 14-hour days and being able to do that. And, oh, you're making plenty of money. Oh gosh, that's success, right? But in my opinion, a lot of that time is really the key. And and having the time to enjoy what you've created and enjoy what you're doing. That's the most important thing to me when it comes to success is time, right? And like you said, you went from 14-hour days and struggling, wondering if you're ever going to make it, wondering if you're ever going to be happy, to just hanging out, traveling, enjoying life. And that is what makes you money, right? Now it's, hey, I get to go have fun and enjoy and be excited. And now that's my job. Now that makes me happy. Like, obviously that makes you happy. And then it's also, creating that success. I think that's, man, that's, I think that's really perspective on like a scale. And that's what we talk about all the time, is that perspective, right?
Yeah,
and
I definitely think. Well, for me, it's just like everybody's different, right? Like when I was in that moment, that is a level of success too, being there in that pharmaceutical job, having that money. But it just depends on like perspective, like you said. Like for me, I'm an adventurous, wandering person. Like I've always got a camera on me, or I'm in an art museum looking at paintings or watching my wife paint. So for that just me, it was perspective to get out. Like you said, there's all different levels of success. So.
No, exactly. I mean, because for somebody that likes to travel, for somebody that likes to experience new things, somebody that has that wanderer spirit, so to speak, like you say, being stuck to a 14-hour, a day job and doing the same thing over and over and over again, that is a prison cell, right? That is like, that's killing you on the inside because of who you really are. Like for you, your perspective and your persona is adventure, travel, wanderer, right? So having to go and do the same thing over and over again is a prison cell.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. And I mean, it's that thing. It's like, and I think that's where self-awareness comes in, right? That's the self-awareness. So like, did you talk through like that transition phase of like, how did it go from like, what was that like aha moment, or like, can you kind of talk through that transition of the 14-hour days and now transition to traveling full time, basically?
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely came in time and success in different waves. Since I was in high school, was a body piercer and consistently did that throughout the years. I opened a tattoo studio at 21. I sold that a couple of years back, my half of that, but I still work there when I come back into town. Just the traveling and everything, it's harder for me to be present in a business and run it and not be there. So yeah, I mean, I originally was in the pharmaceuticals and tattooing at the same time, piercing, tattoo shop, same time, transitioned into, tattooing's blown up over the years. I'm sure you've seen it. There's TV shows. And I remember where I couldn't survive just working in the industry. I had to have a second job. So that's where I got into the pharmaceuticals, then went back to tattoo full time. And then just wanted to get out and travel. My wife and I, before we were married, we had done a couple trips, and we just came up with an idea that I was going to leave Grifols. We were going to work for 2 years. We were going to just kill it, work as hard as we could. And then we had our wedding planned. We were going to get married, and then we were just going to take a year and travel. And then COVID happened. Our wedding got canceled. We wound up having to get married later in the year. And then we just continued working all of 2021 after that, as much as we could, made money. And then beginning of 2022, we just left for full-time travel. We had saved up money. We sold our house more, and we kind of just created a nest egg. We didn't know if, this like content creation or traveling would be lucrative. And obviously at this point, we've obviously spent way more than what we've made to travel, but it is getting to a point for us where we are able to do it and make an income, whether that's through tattooing and body piercing or through the content creation or travel side of things.
Right. So it was just a thought. Like, it wasn't even like an aha moment. It was just that thought. And I think that shows like the power of understanding where you want to go. Right. I've talked about like a roadmap or plugging in a destination into a GPS and the different analogies. And I think that's exactly what I talk about in those situations is like, you just had a plan of like, hey, at some point we're going to go travel for a year. How do we get there? We're just going to travel. How do we get there? And then for you guys, it was, work as hard as you go for it and save up and all that stuff. And that's like, I think that just shows that power of understanding where you want to go so that then you can reverse engineer it right back to, okay, well, I'm here. How do I get there?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said at the beginning, openness and hard work, right? It's just,
that's exactly right. Full circle.
Yeah, you'd be open to doing something, and then just putting in the hard work to get there, and then, accepting that stuff's not always going to go your way. I mean, I was in Iceland last 2 summers ago, and my intestines started to rupture, and I was supposed to be in South America a week later, and I flew back to the United States, and my intestines exploded, and I had to have life-saving surgery. I mean, that put us home, not traveling for 3 months, not working, and added a whole new layer into the whole puzzle of doing this. And it's just, it's just could have been dead, or, keep going. You know what I mean? Quit. I could have go back to what I was doing before, or just decided to keep pushing and see where it goes.
Man, that's like you said, that's a whole new wrinkle in the story there, right? Because
it's got to be open for it.
Yeah, right. No, but I'm saying like it's like, man, because you could have, let's say that something did happen and you did, and your time expired, right? And you never took that jump to go travel, right? I think that puts that urgency of, hey man, make your dreams come true now, right? It's that urgency of like, go ahead and make your dreams come true, because you never know what's going to happen, right? Like, you obviously, there's no way that when you're planning out, hey, let's go travel for a year, and then you obviously transition into longer, like there's no way that you wrote in there, oh, hey, we're going to have life-saving surgery at some point, because, as a young person, you expect, of course you don't expect that to happen. So it's like, but it still is like that urgency, right, to go and make it come true.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely made me switch around some life plans. I had a plan to just travel for a year and do things, and then having that life-changing moment for myself and, my wife, both of us, our families, it affected everybody in a big way. But for us, it was just like, we could put our noses back down and like try to grind and build another business, or we could continue on this path and see where it takes us. And we're loving what we're doing. And, it's always changing. We built a van and we've traveled in Europe the last 2 years. We were just home a couple months ago, and we decided to purchase an RV to have in America. And we're going to be traveling through America this summer and just bouncing back and forth. Fortunately for me, I married up. My wife is an amazing artist, and she can do that all around the world as far as her tattooing and painting goes. She does it around the world as well. So it's not like I think I'm pretty awesome, but she definitely helps us to be able to travel as well too. So we both put in the work.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that like is again, that comes back to self-awareness too, though, like to understand what makes performance happen and what makes you be able to succeed. And for you, that it's, it's your wife, and it's the traveling, and it's all these things, right? Like, to put yourself in the best position to perform well and to be successful is to spend as much time as possible with your wife, and to travel and not be tied to one, 14-hour a day job, right? Like, again, it comes back to that self-awareness of understanding what makes things best for you. And like, obviously I'm not like the most creative guy. I created a podcast, but that's about the least creative thing in the world. So I'm not super creative, but I would assume that like from an artist standpoint and understanding that it's like, seeing the world is more productive because it's more inspiration.
Yeah, I definitely think depending on the type of person, depending on who you are, what gets you going, there's definitely, if you are that kind of adventuring person, I see it could be great. If you're more of like, like somebody like my younger brother, I could never see him leaving home to travel. He just likes his day to day. Like, so It's just, But he's got things like, there's things that makes everybody tick, whether it's riding your motorcycle or cleaning up your car or getting your hair and nails done. There's things that make it tick for everybody. You know what I mean? Just going out there and doing what you've got to do to be able to experience those things, I feel like, is the most important.
Yeah, it's the self-awareness to understand how you work, what makes you, like you said, what makes you tick. Like I said, I mean, from an artist perspective, obviously, like I said, I think that seeing the world would give you more inspiration. Being somebody that is super structured, obviously that's not going to be the best thing for somebody that it wants that control of like knowing exactly what's going to happen next and that kind of thing. That's not going to fit their lifestyle. That's not going to fit their persona. So it's that self-awareness of like understanding what makes you tick, like you said. But it's, again, goes back to what you said to begin with. It's that openness and the hard work, the work ethic, right? Because if you're not open to new things, not open to understanding new things and understanding, because most of us want to go through life a little bit blind, not self-aware, because we all have faults and we don't like to look in the mirror and acknowledge those faults. So like having the openness to understand like where you fall short. And I know that I want to jump in this because again, it goes into the social media realm, and obviously that's, what's biggest for you right now is the social media stuff. And so I want to kind of jump into that, but it's like that openness and that self-awareness and not being blind to what's happening, right? And I just want you to touch on like the social media aspect and like how that has kind of changed the way you see things and kind of helped you be more open and see things differently and try new things. And how has that kind of gone throughout your travels and throughout the growth of your social media stuff?
So, I mean, I'm sure social media can be a blessing and a curse. Get you have especially when you're making social media like a main part of your life, you have the highs are high and the lows are low. Like you ride the wave. You go through times where you see these results, and you go through times where you just for no reason you might produce some of your best content, and it just nobody sees it. Nobody likes it. So it's just like riding that wave and getting through that, and seeing that perspective, like you have to be able to put that down and just live your life. Like you can't just always rely on social media, even if it is part of your job. You got to realize it. But, like, I don't, for me now in the past, I always felt like you get to soak everything in when you travel. And now like with social media being a big part of it, sometimes you have to worry about, do you have the camera, the settings right? So it does take away from the travel at times as well. So like I said, it has its ups and it has its downs. Yeah. But social media can really change people's lives. Yeah, I've seen so many people, whether they're artists or travelers or mechanics, or even like somebody selling something that they make at home, products, like they just push it through social media, and with consistency and continuously posting and staying up on the algorithm, like posting schedules, SEO, hashtags. If you can do all that, social media can really change your life.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, I mean, it's almost social media, like you said, is a blessing and a curse. And it's one of those things that, like, obviously there's a lot of fake it till you make it on social media, right? Like there's people posting, like I saw that somebody just got busted for like saying they had bought this house in Miami or something and at like a young age, and then somebody like fact checked it and was like, hey, this house is for rent on Zillow and here's the listing. So obviously you didn't buy it, right? So there's a lot of that, but also it's like, if you can be your authentic self, if you can hard work, right? Post every day, post like whatever it is, or keep a schedule, keep consistent. Me and you've had these conversations before. If you can do that hard work, but it's also openness, like you said before, openness to experiment, openness to get the ridicule. Because a lot of us don't want to start social media. A lot of us don't want to put ourselves out there on social media because we may be afraid of the hate comments, afraid of, the people in real life making fun of us for this, that, or the other. Like, I know that a lot of people out there, that's kind of their fear, right? They're scared to put it out there on social media because they're scared of the hateful comments. They're scared of the negative side of it in real life. Has that ever happened where you guys have had like some sort of like negatives, or how do you like work through that fear, or has that ever happened to you?
Definitely. Social media has definitely made people forget they can still get punched in the face. Yeah, there's like keyboard warriors. There's people that make crazy comments. I used to get fired up, dude. I'd be ready to fly across the world and fight somebody. But like, it's been a couple of years now. I feel like my skin's gotten thicker, and just a lot of times it's just taking that hate and trying to push it to make yourself better. There's been people that have obviously we're in different countries all the time. For me personally, so like we did a video in Romania that went super viral, but my wife pronounced everything like an American, not like a Romanian, and people were slaying her in the comments. But comment's a comment, so
hey, a comment means they watched it, right?
Yeah. If they saw her say something wrong 5 minutes into the video, then thanks for the watch and the comment.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, so yeah, I mean, it's that. Again, I think it is that perspective, right? And it's altering your perspective to understand, like, and see it in that light. Hey, if they know that I mispronounced something, then it's because they were watching it. So thanks, right? Like,
Yeah.
Instead of being like, oh my God, they hated it. Blah, 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 blah. I'm so embarrassed, right? It's so, again, it's that microcosm of the self-awareness, the perspective, the openness, the work ethic. Like, it's all of that rolled into one. But yeah, like you said, I mean, social media is super powerful, and it's done things. It's changed the way that, businesses run. It's changed the way that people work. And when they want to start a business, like, you can start a business instantly now. Like, again, one thing goes viral and you have a business, right? It's so different, and things have changed so much because of social media, but it's also, people are changing because of social media. It's making people more self-aware, not more self-aware. It's making people more self-conscious in a lot of instances, because they used to be like, if you got bullied, you might have got bullied at school, but you didn't constantly get bullied. And now, like, bullying goes home with you because it's online. Like, they're going to bully you potentially to your face at work or in school or whatever you might be, however old you are. You might get picked on in person, but then now you can get picked on online. So it's a 24/7 type of thing. So people are becoming, I think, more self-conscious and more scared to put themselves out there. And the people that don't care, I saw a video the other day. It was like, why stupid people make more money than you. And it was just basically along those lines. It's like, they don't care what people think because they're just like out there being idiots, right? Making crazy videos, and they don't care about the reactions because that's just their personality, right? That's why, or they're not overanalyzing everything. They're just putting it out there, and they don't care what it looks like. They don't put thought into all the extra stuff. They just do it, right? Let's steal the Nike slogan, just do it, right? And it's, but that's what it takes sometimes, is that perseverance and understanding, like, hey, I don't really care what people think. It's just the internet.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they keep doing it and keep putting it out there, it's just eventually, I feel like, if they have an idea that they stand behind and they want to put it out there, there's something out there for everyone. There's people shoving their arms in holes and pulling out catfish on social media. There's people that are cutting apart sweaters and making recrafted sweatshirts, or like doing like epoxy tables and resin tables. Like, there's something out there for everyone. So even though something might sound like stupid to me or you, but if it's the people in your hometown, who really gives a crap? Like, hopefully I could say that on here.
Oh, for sure, dude.
But yeah, man, like, who cares? Like, I remember when we first created our channel, we were trying to get to 100 subscribers on YouTube, so you could make like a custom URL. And we were like begging people to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And like that right there, if you have to beg those 100 people, like 100 people, like in the grand scheme of things, you could have millions of people following you one day. Who cares what those 100 people might think about you? Like, you should just post it. If you feel like if it's good, post it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I think that's what people miss is like they get self-conscious about the people around them and what the people around them think, whether it's at work, school, hometown, neighborhood, whatever it might be. They get self-conscious about what the people around them might think, and they miss the grand scale of social media and how you can reach across the world, right? For people to know that she mispronounced things in Romania means that you are reaching people in Romania, right? Yes, you were traveling, but it means you had viewers in Romania to know that you were saying things wrong, right? So it means that your audience is worldwide, and that is what social media is. It's worldwide. I had the same thing when I first launched my other podcast. Whenever I was growing it and reaching the kind of the higher ends of it, I would look at like the analytics, and it was like 30 something countries listening to it, and I'm just like, what? Like, yes, I'm an American talking about entrepreneurship, but it just shows that like there's other places out there that want to run businesses, that speak English, that want to run businesses, that want to learn how to empower themselves, how to, get better, get bigger, get better, and all of those things. Just because we're not seeing it on our feeds doesn't mean it's not there. Like, doesn't mean that. So it's like we get pigeonholed into thinking like at first, like we're like, oh my gosh, what's this person going to think? What's my next door neighbor going to think? What's my, coffee shop going to think? Whatever, wherever it is that you go every day, that you're worried about what they're going to think or what they're going to say or what they're going to do, right? And it's all of those things, but there could be somebody 12 hours away from you by plane, 12 hours by plane, right? That needs to hear or needs to see what you're putting out. And that's where the growth is. Like that global piece is what I think a lot of people miss when it comes to social media. They don't understand it. Like, listen, this can go global, not just like your neighborhood. So like pushing past those like initial localized fears to really realize that how big it can get. And I think for a lot of people, that's where they miss it.
Yeah, definitely. I probably, 5 years ago, I would have laughed at myself now. I'd have been like, dude, what? You do what? Like, you're posting what? And then like, just now, like, but doing that and posting on social media and that outreach, like you said, like I've got friends that I call family now in England, in the Czech Republic, in Scotland, in Norway, in Spain. Like I've literally had people have treated me better, brought me in their home, fed me, treated me like I'm their brother or cousin, and and just known them off of social media, and just in a couple of hours formed these bonds and relationships that are amazing, dude. And like now I've got like literally friends and family around the world. I just spent time with some friends here in Spain, and we'll be doing it again in a couple of weeks when we come back from Portugal.
No, absolutely. I'm the same way. Like I've got people that I talk business with that I've never met before, right? I met them on a podcast or I met them through social media, but now we're like working out business deals on what we're going to partner on next, right? That's the power of social media. And that's why, like for me, whenever it comes down to a growth standpoint of growing a business, right? Whenever I'm working with a business to teach them how to grow, that's it. It is, listen, get away from the localized fears and understand the global reach of whatever it is that you do. Because if you go on Facebook or go on LinkedIn or go on Instagram, I don't think Instagram has groups yet, but Facebook's got groups, LinkedIn's got groups, anywhere that has groups, right? And just search something random that you don't think people would care about. I bet you there is a group of people on social media that are coming together around whatever the heck that random thing is, right? And there may be 1,000 people in that group. There may be 2,000 people. There may be 1 million people in that group. I don't know. But the power is now on social media, you can find people that all identify with the same interest.
Yeah. Whether that be for friends, companionship, financial reasons. It just there's something for everybody. You can do it all on social media. You really can. It's crazy. It's just the way the world's going. We're part of I would say that our generation has just seen the most intense change in the fastest time. Just you think about what cars were in the early 90s versus what they are now, and like plane travel. Like I remember, I just billionaires going to the moon. There's just so much stuff that's changing so fast. It's just crazy times nowadays. And social media, like I remember I didn't have a Facebook till after we finished high school. Like I don't even think Facebook existed. Now you got
so I remember like, so I graduated in 06, but I remember I got accepted to college and got my college email address like early on in my senior year of high school. And I couldn't wait to get it because Facebook only allowed college students at the time. So I was like waiting to get that, like, to get that college email address because I had to have at whatever university, right? Or Facebook wouldn't allow it. And now look at Facebook, right? Now look at Meta, not Facebook, but Meta, right? Just from, that's not even half my life, right? That, because I guess it is right at half my life, right? I'm 35, I was 17. So it's right around half my life, how much Meta has changed, right? So like you said, like we've seen such crazy transformations in technology and social media and things like that from back then to now. I mean, MySpace was a thing then, and MySpace was, the most basic of basic social medias, right? They didn't have hardly anything on there when you think about it, but it was the coolest thing in the world when you were, 15 years old or 14 years old, however old you were, right? But it's, like you said, it's the adaptation to that, right? The people that made money in business at any point in history, if you follow history and look at, it's the early adopters. It's the people that they were the first ones to say, okay, this is something new. We got to take advantage of this technology. Or we got, Domino's blew up because they offered delivery, right? It wasn't because they had the best pizza. It was the delivery aspect. They were the first people to embrace delivery, right? McDonald's blew up because they embraced having a process and franchising. They were the first people to really franchise a process of fast food, right? And it's that first early adopter to understand, obviously no one's an early adopter at this stage to social media. Social media is established, but I think that's really a key that people miss is social media, especially in my world, in the business world. I think that it's such a useful research tool to see what the new trends are so you can become an early adopter.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's one of those things that you've got to, a lot of people see it as that mindless entertainment, but I think that it's more than that. It's the research side. It's the connection side. It's, like you said, you got friends in all these different countries and people you can rely on as family in all these different countries. It's that reach. And I think that's what most people miss.
Yeah, definitely. I do feel like that entrepreneurial people tend to flock into social media. Obviously, anybody under probably the age of 25 nowadays is social media dependent. But I would say over 25, more entrepreneurial people, as far as my friend circle goes, they're more into the social media space. Whereas like you said, a lot of other people, they'll post a picture with their family or they go out with their girlfriend on a date or something. To them, social media is just like a joke. It's a fun thing to post on. Whereas for people like you and me, it's our life. But it could also give you the keys to a life that you would have never had if you just worked that typical standard job that you wanted. Not saying that there's anything wrong with that. There has to be those kinds of people in the world for the world to go around. You know what I mean? There has to be. But for people like us, you gotta jump on it, and if you don't use social media and you run a business nowadays, I just don't see what you're doing. you're just losing, unless you're at max capacity and just don't want to grow. Like, I just don't see how you don't use social media to your benefit, because even if you're busy as can be, you could always find better clients, people who want to pay you to do the things that you want to do. You can be more selective with your process. You can, for you, like doing your podcasts, like, as your podcast grows, you get on better personalities or people with bigger platforms, or, you start to experience, like, people start unlocking new parts of your brain, and you start to think about things new, and you use social media to reach out to people, to more and more people. So.
No, 100%. That's why I do the podcast, is to unlock new pieces of my brain, to get into different topics, to see things from a different perspective. That's why I have people from all different walks of life, athletes from different sports, coaches, things like that, because you never know where, like, that little tidbit's going to come from that, like, creates a whole new piece, right? So one of the things that I started doing a couple episodes back is now every week I'm publishing an article based on the discussion that happened, because I just feel like I needed to, like, do justice to that part. Like, hey, we had this conversation and it sparked this in me. And instead of just making content about it, like, I want to have written content, video content, everything. I'm going to touch all of it and put it out there. Like, hey, listen, this is what sparked from this for me. So maybe you don't watch the episode because it's an hour and change. I've had people like, oh my God, your podcast is over an hour. Or it's an hour. That's a long time commitment. I'm like, dude, I watch podcasts that are 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Like, there's some of the biggest podcasts out there. Theo Vaughn's podcast obviously is different than this. It's just more like personal journeys and stories and stuff, but it's still just a conversation. And there's times that it's 2.5 hours long, and I will watch every bit of that.
Yeah,
right. And so, but I want to show people this is what inspired me, and I'm on the podcast, right? I'm the host of the podcast, and it inspired me to do this, write this article. This is how it changed my life. Like, what could it do for you and your performance? Right. And it's one of those things, like, again, it's all about perspective. And you say people like us, entrepreneurial, but also I could even go back to people like us as far as, like, obviously we grew up in the same town, right? You said you're from Clayton, I'm from Clayton, right? Grew up in the same town. Well, there's something in the water in Clayton. People don't realize that there's something in the water in Clayton. It just created, especially around the kind of age we're at, it created different people, right? We've got super successful businessmen and women. We've got professional athletes, Olympians, world record holders. It's the scale of whatever the hell was in the water in Clayton. Like, we were a small town. Obviously now it's not, but when we were there, it was a small town, and it created stuff that people that came out of Clayton, everybody thinks differently. Everybody is just like, I don't know. For me, that's how it was. Like, when I came out of Clayton and went to different towns, man, the dynamic of, like, how people got along, how people understood each other, like, it was so different. And I think that's why I chased social media once I moved away from Clayton, because I wanted to find people that connected the way that people connected in Clayton.
Yeah, definitely. It was always, I feel like growing up, it was always like a hard work, put your work in, get there. Same still applies. Like you said, there's been so many people come through such a small town. I mean, now obviously it's grown, but it's grown for good reason. I mean, you have all kinds of different pharmaceutical with research trying hard. There's computer companies. They're talking about Apple could be coming to the area. Amazon's built warehouses. So, it's just so much more talent's coming to the market. It's just going to continue. It's going to continue to explode. So for anybody, that's starting social media, and they might feel like you got away from Clayton and you wanted to do it. So it made you have that feeling like you can do it. You get on social media and create that community.
Absolutely. I mean, that's whenever I started social media, that's what I said. It was like, man, I wanted to find that small town feel, or create that small town community online, right? Where everybody knows what everybody does. Everybody knows, like, about the people and really their story. Like, in Clayton, you drive by a building and you're like, oh, so-and-so's granddad owns that. It's been in the family for 10 years, 10 generations, 5 generations, whatever, right? Like, the story behind it. Whereas, like, today we're so focused on that outside appearance, and that's about it. Nobody cares about the inside and stories and things like that. A lot of the times in day-to-day life, a lot of the times, yes, on social media, there's that, there's the story behind it and the authenticity, and that's why people connect with certain people. But like when you're just driving by a business, a lot of the time, people have no idea about the story of the business. They don't know if that person inside that business like supports women-owned businesses or minority-owned businesses, or do they, employ special needs kids? Like, what is that owner about? What is that community within that business about? People don't care. They're just driving down the highway, driving down the road. They don't care about it, which is crazy to me, right? That's gone. And that was like my first foray into social media, was like trying to bring that back and trying to bring back that like small town mentality of like, hey, I know exactly what that business stands.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and through social media and through like creating channels, you can do that. You can find your target consumer, and you can build a brand or build a fan base, or like a tight knit community. No matter what, like I said earlier, no matter what it is, what you're producing, whether it's the podcast, whether it's a tangible good, you can make that and even still have your brick and mortar store for drive-by traffic. But like I said, the ability to choose your client. Would you rather, for me doing, whether it's a photography gig or a piercing gig, like, would I rather work with somebody who is like coming to me for me, and they want to work with me, or am I just want somebody that's just driving by and sees me? You know what I mean? So I think like social media can really give you those keys to unlock finding your dream client or your dream friends, even as far as like a friend standpoint. But if you want to go out and go like foraging for berries on the weekend, or if you want to go be part of a 4-wheeler club, or be part of a cosplay club, you can do all that all through social media, and you don't have to worry about coming outside dressed up like you're going to slay the dragons and worry about people laughing at you because you got another 500 people at the local meetup doing it with you. So
yeah. And I wanted to touch on that too earlier whenever you said it, and then I got distracted by whatever I said. But, that's the thing, is like you said, some people don't get involved in it on the business owner side, and they're like, oh, I'm good. Like I've reached out to businesses in the past where I'm like, hey, listen, I want to come in, help your business out, help your business grow, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, no, I don't want to grow. It's kind of weird. It's kind of doesn't make sense to me, but like, it's one of those things like that globalization. It's not just the social media aspect. It's what has happened with being able to hire a VA to do the back end work to make things faster, right? As a business owner, it's about doing, like, you need to prioritize your time of only do the things that only you can do. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's about maximizing your time and your effort and your money for you, right? What can only you do? What is it that only you can do inside of your business? If you're an artist, you can only produce that art, right? Only you can produce that art because it's your brain, your, intellectual property. Okay. Well, sometimes the advertising side or the paperwork side or the transactions or whatever else, and maybe bogging down your time, can get offloaded, right? Even the social media side can get offloaded, right? You can offload certain things that you don't have to, those things may not make you money, or they may make you less money, but you can offload them. That's the globalization. Is now, you can hire a VA in another country. You can hire a VA that's a 15-year-old kid in Texas or South Carolina that just wants to get started working, that wants to learn from you, internships, things like that 17, 18, 19-year-old kids that get out of college or in college or whatever it might be, right? There's so much out there now that if you're not utilizing it and you're just saying, oh, I'm so busy, I'm at the full capacity, like, to me, that's crazy, because you should never be at full capacity. You should, again, like you said, increase your prices. Work with better clientele then. And you're like, oh, there's not enough of that high-end clientele around here. Okay, then why are you sticking around here? People pay absorbent amounts of money for who they like, right? They will, whatever business you're in, I don't know what business, I'm talking to right now, but this is resonate with somebody. Somebody's opening their eyes right now. Whatever the industry is, there are people out there that will pay you to fly to them and do your work at whatever your price is because they resonate with you and your mission and your vision and all of those things. Like saying that I'm good, I don't want to grow anymore. Like to me, and I've had business owners say this to me, that is the most insane concept. Like I don't understand people that are just like, oh no, I'm good, I don't want to grow anymore.
Yeah. I mean, Coca-Cola has commercials on television. So that's just insane.
Dude, I think that is like the number one most incredible comment ever. Like it's so simple, but so true. Like the biggest companies in the world.
I've been to countries where they don't have clean water, but there's Coca-Colas for sale on the corner. Like it's crazy. Like you could, anybody can grow. Anybody can grow. And, like you said, if you don't want to do it yourself, you can. There's so many people out there that are willing to do it for you. And if you don't have a huge, cap or funding for it, you can do it. There are like less expensive options, and there are, you could go all the way up into where, like usually if I do a wedding on a weekend to fly out to a wedding, I'm charging flights plus probably around like $300 to $3,500 at least starting out for an elopement package. You know what I mean? So it just depends on what you're doing. And there might be somebody that lives in that city in Utah that could do your photos for the same price, but you like my photography. You know what I mean? But you no matter what it is, what business you have, it's like somebody will come to you. They will come to you. They don't, not can, like people will come if you have a service, a product, a personality. Like you don't need anything nowadays. You can just be yourself. If you have an idea and you sit here and talk about it, like even for you, like hosting the podcast, it's not necessarily a tangible good, but with giving all these ideas and letting people learn and unlocking new parts of people's brains and people starting to buy in, then obviously you can monetize that through your numbers and promotions and having sponsors on your podcast and stuff like that. So it still does, like social media allows for you to create a career within that, if that's something that possibly happens in the future. Like hope it does for you if it has them.
Dude, that makes all of that, like, it makes me think the analytics of what you're talking about and understanding your client base and people will come to you and all of that stuff. Like, and what you said about Coca-Cola being somewhere that, they don't even have clean water. It reminds me of when we went to Grand Cayman and Grand Cayman had a Bojangles. And I was like, Bojangles isn't even all the way across the U.S. Like, Bojangles isn't in every state in the U.S., but they're in Grand Cayman. And I was like, this is my spot. I got Bojangles. I'm good, right? And, like, they had delivery Bojangles. Like, they had people riding bikes with book bags that were Bojangles on the back. Like, it was like DoorDash commercials, but it was Bojangles. Like, right? It was, everybody wants to grow. So to say that you don't want to grow, like, that's insane. If the biggest companies in the world or these national, regional, whatever, international companies want to grow, you should grow too. Like, stop. Is it about being busy? Is like, there's got to be some other reason behind it, whether you're scared. Again, it comes back to that self-awareness. Why are you saying that you're good in the position you're at? Why are you saying that you don't want to take on more? Because if it's a time standpoint, being more successful, you're able to have more time because you can outsource. Again, outsource a lot of that stuff that's not making you money. The paperwork, the advertising, the social media, whatever it might be for you, you can outsource that stuff. Because you're now more successful, you can pay an assistant, an executive assistant, you can pay for interns, whatever it might be. Like, you can buy your time back. Becoming more successful and becoming more selective, right? It may go from somebody said this the other day, and I'm gonna borrow it from. They said, "Do you want to make your dollar out of 100 pennies or 4 quarters?" Right, and that's true. Like, how does your business break down that dollar? Like, does your business go the Walmart route, the Amazon route? Like, let's just be super cheap and sell a whole bunch of products, or is it, hey, I'm only going to hand select certain clients, and those clients are going to pay me a premium to work with me, and I'm only going to take 4 to make my dollar instead of taking 100 to make my dollar.
Yeah, and if you don't have that social media side of it, then you only have those people that are at your immediate disposal to give you those 4 chances to get that dollar. Whereas with social media, you can, like you said, you could have people all the way across the world that are like, I want that.
No, exactly. And that's the thing too. Like, these, it's not just about flying people. Like we said, yeah, you can fly out to go help people, but you can also do it remotely. Like, that's the whole piece. Like, you're in what part of Spain?
Right now I'm in Arcos de la Frontera. So like the South of Spain and Andalusia.
Cool. Right. and I'm still just me here in South Carolina, right? We're recording a podcast together, hours and hours and hours and hours apart, right? That's I think that shows like the power and of understanding technology and the new trends and things that are going on within a business, like from a business standpoint, but also from a personal standpoint, like from a personal growth standpoint of understanding, like, hey, listen, if you feel like you're not where you belong, you grew up in a place that you don't belong, or if you feel like you just can't connect with those people that are around you, or whatever your circumstances are, from a personal growth standpoint, you can change it. You don't have to move. It doesn't take money. Zoom is free. Facebook's free. Instagram's free.
Yeah, you can find your happy foots and then figure it out how to get there. But you can at least find it. Have a goal where you're going.
Yeah, it's knowing where you're going and then building the roadmap of how to get there. But you got to start.
Yeah, you definitely got to start somewhere. Social media definitely opens up a lot of doors for that, for everybody. And like you said, it's free. It doesn't cost anything to sign up for Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, anything. You can get on there and use it. Use it to your benefit, and, use it for fun, use it for work, use it for whatever you want. But I think there is something in it for most people, unless you're just perfectly happy and you want nothing to change in your life, and you're just in that perspective of my life is absolutely, I don't want to change anything, then I could understand it from that and be like, all right, no, I don't want to grow.
Well, those people I don't think are watching this podcast.
No, probably not.
Those people, or they haven't made it this far in this podcast, because they, those are not the people that's going to get hit by the SEO and the algorithm for this one. But it's, it's that personal growth journey as well as the business journey. Like, it's not just, when I talk about performance and unlocking performance, it's not about just one aspect. Like, the reason that my company is Savage Brand, it's a brand, is because there's multiple levels of what we do. It's not just one thing. There's not one thing that we do, because it's not just business. Like, there's different departments of it. It's not just about growing your business, increasing your sales, or growing your reach. It's about personal journeys. It's about athletic journeys. It's about, professional journeys. So it can be an employee in a business. It can be the whole business. It can be just somebody that wants to get a better job, like you said. It's about performance as a whole and growth as a whole. I was filling out a thing the other day for a website that does podcast bookings and like guest bookings and me going on other podcasts. And it was like asking for a tagline. I was like, what should I put? I was just being me and being goofy. I make things grow, right? Because that's what it is. It's performance, right? It doesn't matter if it's the business, if it's the person, if it's a group of people. It's all about the perspective, self-awareness, and like you said, the hard work, right? All of those things work within the business standpoint, within the personal standpoint, within the professional standpoint. It doesn't matter what arena you're in. The basics are the same. The steps are the same. It's and it doesn't matter where you're at, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you're in South Carolina. It doesn't matter if you're in the south of Spain. Like, performance is performance regardless. Like, and the reason that I like to take it back to things that people can relate to, whether that's athletics or social media, is because everybody can relate to those things, right? Like, it's easy to track success for people, like for somebody on the outside. It's easy to track success in athletics, right? How good is this person? Let's look at their stats. How good was their team? Like, it's very easy to track success in athletics. Oh, they're a professional athlete, and they're at least, top 1% in the world, right? Because that's just how professional athletics work. Like, but then within that realm of elite performers, what is the, how good are they, right? Same thing on social media, right? Oh, how successful is this person on social media? They've got 5,000 followers, they got 10,000 followers, they got 100,000 followers, right? How good are they on social media? It's easy to track. Now, on a personal side and on a professional side and on a business side, you can track the same things, but most people aren't used to doing that. Most people are not used to having those analytics and staring at those analytics to improve their performance.
Yeah, you definitely have to be willing to reach in and learn about that side of things with social media if you want to be successful, because there's a whole numbers game breaking down on, like, consistency, times a day posting, the amount of times you're posting per week, comment, your interaction, how well your audience is interacting with you, how well you're interacting with your audience. There's so many metrics, and you start breaking that down. And even nowadays, like, brands or companies that are looking to work with people like you and me, they're starting to use those metrics, and they want to see, like, a media kit and see how far you're reaching or how many people are watching it. Because, if you're trying to work with, like, a company who's based out of America, but your viewership is 93% South America, that they're not, they're probably not going to be buying that product that primarily sells in America. So it's just, figuring that out and working and pushing your stuff to go in whatever direction works for you.
But that's the thing that people don't see. Like, that's what people don't understand, is that analytical side of social media and understanding those metrics and understanding that aspect of performance. They don't understand the behind the scenes.
Oh man, there's people that literally have a job nowadays of being a coach on how to do social media. They literally are making a couple $100,000 a year telling people how to make money off of social media. So if that right there doesn't show you that it works, like, that's crazy. People are, like, literally getting rich off of telling people how to get rich.
Oh yeah, I think those people have been around for a long time. Like, hey,
like,
pay me money. Yeah, pay me money and I'll make you rich. Like, those people have been around for a long time, for sure. Or that concept has been around for a long time. Like, hey, pay me a bunch of money and I'll make you rich. Yeah, I think that's been around forever, but it's more understanding that people will pay for anything. Like, I know there's people out there that are charged. Like, I talked to a guy the other day that he charges like $20,000 to teach people about social media. So if you think that somebody won't pay for you to fly out and take pictures of them, like, obviously you're doing things wrong, because they will. Because, like I said, this guy's got, 200 plus students, and he's charging $20,000. So it's 200 people that paid $20,000 for him to teach them about social media and about learning about social media and the method that they use. Like, so it's out there.
He might only have 1,500 followers on social media, but he's got that conversion rate to where he's making $400,000 a year versus somebody that's got 300,000 followers, but it doesn't convert to anything, So it's just knowing your audience and how to work it. Like I said, finding your ideal client, that guy charging $20,000, when there's people out there only charging $150, he'd have to sell, however, exponentially amount, for at $150 versus $20,000, So just knowing your audience. Like you said earlier, people saying that they don't want to grow is crazy. Like, there has to be some facet of that job that you can make better.
Absolutely. There's always efficiency. That effectiveness and that efficiency is what is important. Is like knowing where you can get better, knowing where you can make it better. And that's, again, the backside of it. The side of performance is not seen by people. It's that understanding of that work that don't see. That's what makes elite performances happen. It's the backside of it. And I think that's where those people that say, I don't want to grow or I don't want to get better, there's nothing that I'm content. I think that is the killer, right? Like, that's the people that don't want to do that back end.
But sometimes it just makes it, a little worse for everybody else around those people. Like, they're happy with it, but the other, the guy in the back, that his job stinks because the owner won't do it better. You know what I mean? Like, there's definitely things to look at. I think
there's consequences.
Anybody can get better in life with anything, not just, social media, but just being open and having work ethic, continuing to get better.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly right. And so, man, I think that's, perfect place to wrap it up. Like, we've talked about it, and everything that we've talked about has been full circle, self-awareness, openness, hard work and perspective, right? Like, we've everything has been within the context of those things. So, man, I just want to thank you for taking the time out and jumping on here, and just want you to shout out, all your social medias and all that good stuff one more time, and tell everybody who you are one more time.
Yeah, Josh, thank you for having me on. My name is Shaun. You can find me on YouTube at The Adventuring Artists, as well as Instagram. That's my wife and I's travel channel. And then all our other socials are linked through there: tattooing, piercing, photography, a little bit of it all. Like I said, it's a work in progress. By no means on the level of success where I want to be, but continually going up the stairs, man, and just trying to unlock that mindset.
That's right, man. That's what we're all about, man. That journey to better is what this is all about. So I just want to thank you again for having you on. And listeners, stay tuned next week. Got another banger coming for you. It's going to be a really good one. But yeah, let's just stay on this journey and let's go.